So, folks, Wolf Driver coming to you live once again. So, this is not with my producer. This is kind of a little bit of a fun time in Wolf Driver lands. And I'm not getting the Huskies excited yet because it's feeding time, dinner time. And I want to show you the process and maybe get some conversation going. So, I'm wearing those crazy Apple Vision goggles again, and I'm here to answer questions and chat. Now I'm going to try to move this window around so I can keep it as live as possible, but I'm going to show you what we're dealing with right now, folks. So this is one of the freezers I use, and above me right there is the rotations I use. So I'm on dog food rotation 1 right now, and all the numbers are there. In case this iPad gets reset, I know where I was at. That's what these magnetic numbers are. Okay, a little crazy, but that's what Wolf Driver is. So I look up here, and we want small. Tonight we're going to do, because I already put on the menu, the cubed rabbit by Primal. So I checked that to know I'm going to feed that, and I'm going to put my gloves on because I'm dealing. I'm dealing with all raw food, so you can hear the dogs getting a little excited. Possibly, I'm dealing with all raw foods here, and they are frozen. But just for a human to touch them and take a chance of getting some of the good bacteria, some of the stuff that can mess us up. By the way, I go over to this refrigerator to get supplements that I add. And if you want to, please check in with me. I'm trying to see how this process is working. So shout out or anything, but we're going to keep going here. So I pull down one of the feeding bowls, and I use different feeding bowls depending on what I'm feeding. And right now the scale's zeroed out. It's tiered weight, so it means that the bowl is not being weighed. I reach in here. Tonight we're doing Primal Rabbit. So this is raw rabbit with other added ingredients to give it a complete diet. And I put these additional nutrients on there to make it Wolf Driver approved. So I take the rabbit and I'm feeding Lola first. So Lola gets a pound. And the reason she gets a pound is because Lola lays around a lot and we don't want to put any extra weight on her. Even though we do a ton of exercise, you got to realize that Lola is just a lounger. And that happens to dogs as they get spayed, and she's been spayed for years. Lola's 8 years and 3 months, I believe. So 8 years old and 3 months. 8 years and 3 months old. And what I just put on, sorry, is Barf E Plus. So that's got supplements that seem to work well with my dogs. I've been using it for years. And now I'm putting on Alaska Naturals salmon oil topper, and it's got some pollock in it and some different other fish oils, and it's really good for their coat and really good for their pads, I believe, skin, all that good stuff. So the pads, a lot of people ask me, oh, sorry. Okay, Lo. So we just, sometimes these crates, the reason they're being fed in crates, by the way, hi, good girl, is because we want to give them privacy. Because Huskies, competitive dogs, they could do some stuff to each other. They could get sensitive, they get territorial, and I want to make sure they're eating what I'm giving them. So now you're hearing Nikita. So Nikita's going to get a pound too. Now Nikita can eat typically a pound to a pound and a quarter. Her weight is perfect, but right now she's getting over a heat cycle, so she's not going to eat as much. And we are still in the summer, so we're not getting all the mileage to work off the extra food I would feed her. And she's being kind of quiet now when we're at home because she's getting over her heat cycle. So here is Nikita. Hi, good girl. And Nikita is right there. So she might be a little picky about the food. We'll see how she does. I'll show you if you stay with me long enough. Sometimes you get a picky husky. They don't want to eat. They're known for that. So if she does that, I'll show you what I do. We're getting another bowl out. Now comes Cyan. So again, we're feeding Rabbit Recipe by Primal. It is a frozen raw food. And by the way, if you are watching me, please ask me for a shout out. I'd love to do it because I'm trying to see if everything's working here. So I finished that bag off with a little better than 3/4 of a pound. And I go for my next bag. Now you'll notice everything here is important. trash can. The reason it is hidden so the dogs can never get to it. People don't understand when you have an open trash can, it's an invitation for the Huskies to get a little feast in on your trash. And we certainly don't want them to get into that. So about 1.25 pounds is what I look to give her. And this is, again, Cyan. Now, Cyan is very active. She's coming out of a heat cycle too, but she's much more, it doesn't affect her as much. Nikita, it affects more. So they will be fixed soon. They're not, I'm not breeding them or anything. And I get 5 squirts of the salmon oil again after I put my Barf Plus supplements on. And we're going to put her, she pushes her crate all the way over here because she's so excited to eat. So I'll tell you a little bit how I feed them. Good girl. And I'm going to slide her back. So you can see I've got crates here for different purposes. So these are big crates, but if they ever need surgeries and they have to wear cones on their head, I can put them in here. It'll give them more turning space, etc. Usually just the bottom one I use, but I can use the top one too if I would need it. So dogs should always be, in my opinion, crate trained, because at some point in their life, whether you're spaying or neutering them or whatever, some situation arises, it's nice to know you can keep them quiet if you need to. I've had a dog I gave cataract surgery to, and the veterinarian says he's got to be quiet for a few weeks, or a week, 10 days, whatever the case may be. By the way, this is Inyo, and Inyo I'm going to feed extra because Inyo is very active, and she burns it off. So I give her towards 1.5 pounds. And I know most people measure foods by cups. I measure it by poundage, just the way I've been taught in my system. And I always shake the salmon oil. They say shake it up. The E-Bar supplements and the oil stay refrigerated. And walking over here to give, hi, good girl. This is Inyo. Inyo, they're very excited. Hi, good girl. So, hope you're getting a good view of that. So, all 4 Huskies have been fed. Now, sometimes rolling through here, there's a little munchkin dog. And that's Gigi. Gigi, she's not here right this second, but she'll probably come down. And so I'm going to get her ready. And what I'll feed her, now I'm going to show you. She gets roughly 1/4 pound. She gets 4 nuggets. So might be a little under 23.6, 23.8. And then for her, she's going to get a little bit too. Not as much as the big dogs because she's not as big of a dog. She's 14.5 pounds, I believe. And then I'll just top it off with a little bit of the Barfy Plus. She eats it frozen. So she's a toy breed Chinese crested. She's not here now. She's waiting for dessert. That's what she's waiting to hear till I pull out dessert. And I'll show you dessert shortly. Um, if you're out there and you want to don't forget shout out, please, because I'm trying to see if this is working. Okay, so time to put the food away. So the Primal Rabbit recipe. You might say, Wolf Driver, what in the world? Why do you have all these foods? Well, through the iPad and through a schedule that I built, I actually rotate. I rotate proteins. As you see, there's turkey and sardine, there's rabbit, there's pork, there's goat, there's lamb, there's chicken and salmon, beef and bison, whitefish and salmon. There's chicken there and duck and all kinds of stuff. So there's others I didn't mention. Rabbit down there. So from Truduncan, which is a turkey and duck mix. So I use different brands, different proteins, different textures. And what I mean by that is I'll give them kibble-sized frozen raw food. Some days I'll give them what you just saw, which are more of a cube or a nugget. I give them kind of like a cube, but it's a circle, but it's about the same size. It's a nugget, they call that too. And I give them chubs, which are rolls, and I give them flat, almost burger-sized patties. So I give them a little bit of everything. So the Barf E Plus, the E Barf Plus, I'm dyslexic, and I call it wrong. I'm sorry. I really am dyslexic. And I'll put these in the refrigerator because keeping them cool is the name of the game. Don't want to freeze it, but don't leave it out in the open. They say you get a longer life. And that's the key on everything here, is keeping everything as fresh as possible, all the ingredients. So I am going to take off my gloves and I'm going to put another set of gloves on. So you might say, what is Wolf Driver doing now? So now Every day, their water in their crates. There's water all over the property for them, but every day, water in their crates is sorry, my goggles are acting up here. Every day the water in their crates is changed, and there's water, basically water fountains outside for them. There's water bowls around the house wherever they may go. So with Lola, you can see right here, Lola ate all her food. Hi, good girl. So Lola, I'm going to change her water out, and I'm going to take her bowl, obviously, and close her crate up. And what I do is either every day, I'm going to see. Actually, I'm going to give her a new water bowl. That's how I know if I washed them the night before, because they're clean in the dishwasher. So the dogs have their own dishwasher here. And in the dishwasher are always clean bowls and clean water bowls and feeding bowls. So what I do, again, Wolf Driver's a little over cautious. I'm going to rinse this. So I don't trust anything. So the dishwasher, I buy top of the line stuff, because when you're dealing with the dogs, you gotta make sure you got the best products. So that gets it really well sanitized. But I will rinse it again just to make sure there's no lurking soap or anything. I don't even do this for myself, but I do for the dogs, because they're a little more sensitive, I find, to, I'm going to say, man-made foreign objects. They can eat raw food that's bad based. They can eat any food that's bad pretty much. But certain foods, obviously not. But it usually, because they have such a short stomach tract, it usually goes through them without affecting them like it would a human. Like salmonella, a little harder for the dog to get than a person because of their short digestive tract. So I fill that with cold water, and she gets fresh water. And then what I do, and again, I'm just showing my routine. Maybe it'll give people ideas. Maybe you're just here to see how it's all done. And then what I do, and I'm trying to do this with these goggles on, let's take her collar off. So this is her collar. It's a Phi. Sometimes I have other collars attached to it. She's wearing another collar, which is her pet pace I've been talking about. That she sleeps in now. So now I go over to Nikita. So Nikita ate a little bit, and this is normal for her with her condition being in heat, and that will suppress her appetite some. So I leave that in there for a little while. Now, what will happen is that food will start to soften. It'll start to de-thaw, and it'll get a little more aroma to it. And that'll entice her to eat more. Sometimes I'll hand feed her, and sometimes I'll just let her eat what she wants, call it a day, and then the next day make sure she gets most of that. Usually, when she's in heat, she'll eat a half a pound. When she's not in heat, she eats a pound or a pound and a quarter, like I talked about. She doesn't lose weight per se, it's not long enough. And even working her out, she's still, when we do a hard run, we come in and she'll still only eat usually a half a pound. A couple different things could be going on with her. Depending on her heat cycle, it's definitely suppressing her appetite. But sometimes she gets a false pregnancy, and that's not that common, but it does happen in dogs, and she's had that twice, I believe. So with that false pregnancy, they actually, I'm not going to be too graphic here. Their breasts get milk. I mean, they think their body thinks they're going to give birth, and they don't, but their body prepares for it. So that affects, again, a lot of her normal issues. See, she's back to eating now. So some of it, she thinks I'm going to take the food away, so she wants to eat it. And some of it, because she's near the other dogs, is a competitive thing, competitive nature, which is good because that gets her, stimulates her appetite, even though it's because she's not really hungry, just because the other dogs might get it, because I want to keep the food going through her as much as possible. So now we've got Cyan. So Cyan ate her food. And by the way, I'm not going to take her collar off because she is eating, and I don't want to disturb that groove. So I come down here, and I got Cyan's, put that there. I'm going to grab her water. I'm going to change that out like you saw me do the others. And I'm going to come back and get her collar. So I also use other, let me grab a bowl for her. I didn't do for Nikita, but that's okay. With Cyan, she's almost always going to eat her food, even with her heat cycle going on. again, I rinse these um, one good time, and then I put fresh water in. Even though they just came out of the dishwasher, just I don't know, maybe soap residue, whatever. It's just a one of my cautious ways. But Cyan is they're all good eaters, but Nikita, the only time her appetite is suppressed is on her heat cycle, where again the other three don't have that issue. Now, two of the other three are spayed, meaning Lola and Nino. Just Cyan doesn't have that problem. By the way, oh, we got Cheryl. Great to see you. Thank you so much for commenting. So Cheryl says, "Oh, what a setup, Lola. Clean is good. So spoiled. Been there, done that routine. Different conditions for each dog. Now living with shepherds, but another story. Carry on." Thanks so much. My friend of mine who actually taught me pretty much everything I know about dogs. He was a master Schutzen trainer, which shepherds are big for. That's protection work in German. And shepherds were his breed. He just loved them. So we were always around shepherds, and I had shepherds with my generation of huskies I had back then, and they're wonderful dogs. So much different than a husky in the sense that they're actually a little protective. They can be really good guard dogs. Of course, they use them in military, police, etc. They use a lot of shepherds. With huskies, they'll just kiss somebody to death. It doesn't matter what they're doing to their owner, to their property, or anything. So we do her collar now. Thanks, Cheryl, for that comment. I really appreciate that. Helps me see everything's working. Hi, good girl. So you notice she still has her pet pace collar on. Good girl, right there. And we've got one more. One down, three down, one to go. And I guarantee you, see Nikita, she was just a little intimidated I was going to take the food, and that's why she started eating again. But she didn't. I could see she only ate another nugget or two. But that's okay. Hi, good girl, Inyo. So Inyo just finished hers. She comes out next. And I love these top loading crates. They make it so good to access the dogs. And by the way, anyone else has any questions, comments, anything, shout outs? We're late night here in Wolf Driver Land. By the way, we are live and it is 10:57 at night. So I usually feed the Huskies. Last thing we do for the day. That way, I feed them, whoopsie, I feed them last of the day because I never know. Sometimes we're spontaneous and the weather's right. I get to a night like it's been cool, like the fall right now. So I get to a nice night and I say, you know what? Let's do some wolf driving. Dogs are ready. They haven't eaten. They're not for a risk of bloat. When they eat and you run them right after, they could be at risk of bloat. So they're always ready to run. Last of the evening, I feed them, and they're content for the night. And I'm content because I know we've maximized the day. We've done everything we've had an opportunity to do, and I don't have to worry about bloat as much. There's always a chance of bloat, but I've never had that happen, by the way. But it is a reality, and some dogs are more prone to it than others, depending on their body structure, their sizing, etc. So this is Inyo's water. Hi, good girl. Saying's funny. She loves when I put fresh water in because she will usually go and drink it. She waits till it's brand new water. Remember, every day it's changed. Every other day they get a new bowl. Hi, good girl. So I'm feeling for her collar, and hers comes off right there. Again, these are Phi collars, and these all but cyans are what they call biothanes. So it's a material that doesn't hold odors, totally waterproof. Really nice. Cyan broke her biothane collar, surprise, surprise. So she's back to the nylon until I order a new one. The biothane ones, the custom made collars are really nice because you can put the dog's name on there and you can put your address and it's engraved on the buckle itself. So if you saw the mistake I made there, I forgot to do Nikita's fresh water. And I know that because I had 4 bowls in the wash. So I'm just going to do that real quick. And then I'm going to show you probably one of the most exciting parts is the dog's dessert. So every night they get some sort of chew. And when I say a chew, something that sometimes it's not a biscuit, but sometimes it only lasts as long as a biscuit. And sometimes it's a little more intense and it can provide more chewing for them. It does a couple things. It gives them variety because I'm all about variety. I just think that for this breed, they're really intelligent and they thrive on everything changing all the time, relatively speaking. So I try to always mix it up. That's why I mix up all the different bikes I use, all the different activities I do with them, and pretty much everything that happens. So I'm going to set this down for a second. By the way, this is a meat or a bone saw, so I can actually cut frozen foods, or I can cut bones. I never give them bones, but I give them sometimes chews that you couldn't break. They're really hard, and I can cut it through that machine. So that comes in real handy, especially when you've got a little 14-pound Chinese crested. Okay, Nikita. So with Nikita, like I said, that food will soften up, become more aromatic. Is that the right word? More, it'll have more smell to it because it won't be frozen, and she'll be able to get some more down her. Again, I feed her a pound. If she eats a half pound, that's good when she's in this condition. Good girl, Nikita. And you don't know, so when we're out in the field, you wouldn't know she was in heat and she was feeling it. Her work ethic is just so strong, it would overcome that. So, what I'm going to do now, one more time, folks, I'm going to empty the dishwasher when you're not here, so I won't put that on you. But I'm going to change my gloves once again, and because I'm going over to the chews. So with the chews, I don't give them any bones. I know some people do, and I'm not saying it's bad to do. I've had bad experiences over the years because bones are not something that they can digest. It goes through their system in the way they chewed it. So if it's a bigger piece goes through their system. If it's too big of a piece, it can clog them. If it's lots of small pieces and there's a bigger piece in there somewhere, it can clog up behind the bigger piece and just have a lot of buildup. So it is really good for their teeth, though some dogs can chip their teeth on it. So I choose not to take a chance. So right here, if you can see it all. So I've got biscuits. I do feed them biscuits, for whatever when they come in. If they do the right thing, once in a while, biscuit is what I do. Actually, they get a couple a day. They're really small. I've got bully sticks, collagen chews, overflows, you see, cheeks, and no hide, and throats, and all that good stuff. But tonight, we're going to give them, I have to check my phone. I do actually have it on here. Let's see if it updated. I've got a whole chew list. And for some reason, this one just did not update. And I want to keep it on the dog rotation I am. So I'm going to pull out of my phone and I'm going to say hello to it. And I'm going to try to get right here. Don't know if you can see this, but I go to list maker. So they're due for it's called a gullet, and it's a piece of the cow. I don't know the exact piece. So I have to figure out. So I've added some new chews. So that's some. There's a whole spectrum here of other chews. And I forgot where I put the gullets. I'm going to try to find them now. They might be in here. I don't think they are. Actually, I think they're over on the other side. So some of these aren't labeled. I've been redoing it because I've added a whole new collection of chews. I buy them from a couple places on the internet, and I also buy some locally. Let me see. So this could be. I might need the step ladder for this. Sorry, folks. Well, at least you're getting to see the inner workings of the Wolf Driver here. Um, Let me see. Taking you over. This is the gym part of the basement, and that's the Husky I use to fit harnesses. Sometimes I get new harnesses, or I want to fit it first on there to learn how harness works before I attempt to put it on the dogs. So I need a ladder here because we got to go up for a ride and find these gullets. And they're in bags. This could take me a little while to find these folks because again, they're not labeled. You can't believe the amount of cheese they got. This could be them. This is them. So these are beef gullets. That's the shorter ones for the GG size dogs. I think we have bigger ones here somewhere. Actually, might not. These were something I was trying. So I'm not sure I've got bigger ones. So we're going to skip the gullet. I'm going to move on to the next one because that's the half size. They come in two sizes, 6-inch and 12-inch. And Gigi's ready for hers. So we're going to give Gigi one. You got big dogs, Michael Chill. So Gigi's food's over there. Gigi, let me show you Gigi here. Hi, good girl. Look at her dancing. Come up here, good girl. Hope you can see that. She is actually dancing away. So she likes these. These are quick chews for the big dogs. For her, it'll take a little longer. See, it's braided. There you go, good girl, good girl. And I'm going to look on my phone again, my trusty phone, and see what would be next. Because since I'm out of those are where I was just trying again. I'm going to go to, let's see. So after the gullet is the ostrich tendons. These are good. These you're going to like. Nobody I know does ostrich tendons. Ostrich tendons are huge, and they can be a really entertaining chew for the dogs. And it's a what they call a novel protein ostrich, meaning they don't feed it as much to dogs, so a dog's less likely to have an allergic reaction. Because we feed so much chicken and beef to our dogs, they're more likely to have an allergic reaction. So here the ostrich tendons are. Check these out. These are some big tendons. Look at that. I don't know if you get an idea, but that's over a foot long, over 12 inches. So I'm going to give this one to Inyo. Hi, good girl. There you go. She's real gentle when she takes it. So she is probably the least of the chewers. So what happens is I like to give her something I'm pretty sure she'll chew. I like to give her the bigger part of. Okay, so this one feels a little lighter. Inya Asayan here is not a big as chewer. Hi, good girl. So these are good chews. Tendons are fully, almost everything I give is fully digestible. Hi, good girl. So Nikita, even though she didn't eat her meal, we'll give her that one. And they've got a couple other chews, not bones, in their crates. And with those chews, eventually, if they don't eat them, I'll take them out. And here is a little bit smaller one, which will be perfect for the big girl because he likes to eat. And I don't want to give her too much to eat. There you go, good girl. And that is their dessert. So that'll take them, if they eat it, if they eat it all, that'll take them a good, depending on the dog. Nikita's the biggest chewer. She could probably finish that in a half hour. The other dog's probably an hour. I'm going to take my ladder here, take that off. So the next step, I won't keep you for this, just wanted to do a little bit of a brief summary, but tomorrow night's food will be Truduncan, which is Steve's, and I'm going to show you that. This is Lamu, this is Truduncan. So that's Truduncan recipe, that's turkey and duck. Steve's is another high-end raw food that's good for them, very good. It's got goat milk in it, I believe, and some other good. Why use different manufacturers? Because who knows what's the best out there? Sometimes it's by the dog. Sometimes, like foods for humans, they find out, well, it's not working. It's not as good as they thought. Red wine's good for you. It's not the next day. So giving them a wide array assures of the top brands, they're going to probably be getting some of the best ingredients. Though some might not be as good as others, some might be better. You're mixing them so you're not depending on one brand to be the best for your dog. Because they could find out a couple years later it wasn't that good. And they're all have their strengths. There's one brand I use, Green Juju. This is newer for me. And this one has very little additives. So the way their menu works, they believe that they don't need any other real ingredients, additives, because they're not processing it as much. None of these are really processed, but they have other products in there to kill some of the bacteria that a lot of people don't like. I think they're called HRBs. So that's why people will make their own diets, even versus feeding the raw commercial like I'm feeding. So interesting stuff. If you have any questions or comments, I can stay on here for another couple of minutes. It is after 11 here, and I've got like over 10,000 steps today. I've been pretty active. The dogs got groomed today. You might say, well, Wolf Driver, they're looking kind of nice. They got groomed. When they get groomed, their crates get cleaned, and that's monthly. Okay, their crates are cleaned usually once a week, but the thorough cleaning is monthly, depending on what's going on. Sometimes, they're muddy. They use their crates a lot. They love their crates. They're den-dwelling animals. So the doors will be up. They come in, they go out. At night, they're usually, I usually keep them in the crates because, again, too much activity going on. They love it. They sleep in there when the door's open. They have no problem. When we get up, they exit the crate, go out to the yard, and they can come and go as they want. I think you've seen this on some of my videos, but I'll show you. Here's how they access. And by the way, This is another one of the freezers. When I was talking about doing chubs, which are 1 pound rolls, and some of the other products, this is mackerel kind of burgers. This is tripe. So if a dog won't eat, it's actually good for them. It's the lining of a cow. It's a supplement. You don't make that their whole diet. So, you might feed that as 20% of their diet one day. And then they say you can do it, I don't know, 10 to 20% a day. I don't do it that much. But it's really nasty. It smells. It's good for the dogs. But with tripe, if a dog's not eating, that can entice them a little bit. You spread it out. When you unfrost it, defrost it, it does smell bad. That's their dog door. So you might have seen this. Um, so they go up there and they can let themselves in and out accordingly during the day, depending on what we're doing, what activity, and what's going on. So that's how we do it here in Wolf Driver Lands. Any other questions or comments? I'm gonna wrap this up. Gonna show you the dogs one more time. And Lola already tore that apart. And let's see, Nikita. So she's chewing it. So there was a time when she was in her heat cycle. She's getting towards the end of it, that she won't even eat that. She's just like, whatever. That's just the way she is. And the groomers are really good. Getting them groomed, I learn about what's going on with them sometimes. Because the groomer's like, wow, her butt was really sensitive, probably because she's in heat. And maybe her breasts were swollen. That's all part of the false pregnancy I was talking about. So, the groomers have their hands on. So that's really nice. Again, we do it monthly. So Cyan's tearing that one up, and Inyo is actually chewing this. And she's the least of the chewer. That's why you see a few extra bones in her crate. Not call them bones, a few extra chews, because she's just not a big chewer. That's what she is. And I want her to chew because I want her to, it's an activity. And I also want her to work on cleaning her teeth. When she doesn't chew them for a while, I'll give them to the other dogs instead of putting them back, because once they've been in the air a while, I feel they can be. Cheryl, so nice to see the good night thing. All this makes my day and night. Carry on. Thanks so much. It really is. And that's why I wanted to bring everybody into here, because you see me out in the field a lot doing everything I'm doing. And this is how the Huskies live. Of course, the lifestyle is all the activities we do, but they need to unwind. And I keep talking about these pet pace collars. I'm tracking how much they're sleeping, if they're getting a good night's sleep, their vitals during their sleep, and that'll usually determine, are they being more active in their sleep. So why is that happening when you figure that out? What's the pattern? Did we work out that day and they're real tired, and the next day when you don't work out, they're just not tired enough. They're not getting a good night's sleep. But that brings me to the point where if you see these coolers, there's a cooler there and there's a cooler there, and you see all the plumbing, piping there. So all that is cooling these mats. So Lola's got a third of a mat. Lola loves being on the crate. She just has such a thick coat, no matter what. She is always looking for coolness. I mean, she is a husky, obviously. So what happens is she would take her bed up a lot. She wouldn't chew it. She was pretty good when she was a puppy. She would chew it, but when she was younger, with me exposing some of that, giving her some of the crate, she loves the field, especially in the summer. In the winter, we use another mat, and I'll show you that in a sec. The other dogs like the mats the full length, so that's why I make them the full length. But in these crates, we'll keep the extra beds. Those are the winter beds, so those are a little more plush and comfortable. But the dogs will lay on the concrete because it's cool, so they want that. Those are not concrete; these are vinyl, some kind of vinyl coated foam. So again, they're not always in the crate, but this is when they rest, when they eat, etc. Dog treadmills are here. So that is the way we do it in Wolf Driver Land. Cheryl, thanks so much for your comments. I really, really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing everybody. So tomorrow is we'll be here at home doing some activities, some local stuff. Nothing on the electric dog sled or Seiko cart or anything like that. We're going to go Friday for an adventure. I mean, it's been so nice. We could probably find a place we could do a nice run. And they got groomed today. Grooming is an adventure for them, or an exercise, I should say, because what happens is they're standing the whole time. So even you'll see older dogs, they have a tough time standing. So it's good for these dogs, and it's a little stressful, just grooming. That's what it is. I call it the spa day, but it can be stressful. So it's good. I like to try to give them a little rest in between, give them some free time to lounge around in between grooming, in between every activity we do. That's how we do it here in Wolf Driver Land. I hope you like this. I'm going to bring everybody in for more of these kind of informal, more personal live chats, activities, that we can do together like this. And I'm not in the field, so I don't have a million things going on around me, so I can concentrate. Kind of like in the studio where I have my producer, but that's a little more formal. I'm Wolf Driver signing off. Really appreciate it. Cheryl, thanks so much again. Everybody else out there watching, if you're watching the rebroadcast of this and it's not live, please leave a question or comment. I go through all my social media pretty good. I'm always out there, so I would love to address anything you may have and further on the conversation. I'm signing off. Have a great day, everybody.